Good morning. This is Dylan Jovine with Behind the Markets. Happy Thursday. Today is Thursday, March 5th. What a blessing it is to be alive. Today, I'd like to talk about the IPO market. The IPO market is a very special place for investors who want to look for signals. When I first discovered that in my 20s, when I was reading Security Analysis and The Intelligent Investor by Ben Graham, I was on this whole Ben Graham kick, Warren Buffett's mentor. I'll never forget this line. He said, you can tell the end of a bull market by the quality of companies going public. And I saw this play out in the dot-com era, that at the end of a bull market, things start to get so crazy. The fever, the mania for deals gets so crazy that the banks, just to satisfy this insatiable demand of the public for dot-com deals or whatever it is, they just start putting out garbage. Whatever you want. They're just trying to make money. You think of pets.com. You think of those dot-com companies at the time. So I've always looked at the IPO market for very important clues, and all professional investors do. And the IPO market's a very good finger on the pulse of the patient of the capital markets in America. And coming into this year, the IPO market, there were a lot of planes at the airport ready to be taken off. They were all in line, ready to be taken off. And they were waiting. Some of these companies have been waiting for a while. They're quality IPOs, which tells you the market is still healthy. That's a very healthy sign for the patient. Doesn't mean the patient doesn't have cancer somewhere else or something else, but it's good for the blood pressure, the pulse of the patient. So what it tells us right now is that the patient, there's a lot of IPOs that have been waiting for a while to come up, and they are on the tarmac and they're starting to launch. Boom, boom, boom. But this war, the Iran war, has actually delayed those IPOs. Actually, it's splitting them up. So we're seeing wider repercussions from the Iran war. Some IPOs are being delayed, Bloomberg reports, and this is SoftBank's pay, which is widely anticipated. Good quality IPO, considered best breed. Others are racing to the finish line. Minimed Group, So you have this kind of repercussions that it's showing that some people are bracing for market volatility. Some people are saying, we got to go public now in case the IPO market closes and this gets worse. And other people are saying, let's just delay. Generally speaking, there are a lot of factors at play why a company would rush to go public or a company would delay. But I can tell you one thing for sure. You tend not to delay if you're really cashed up, you have a lot of money in the bank, and or you're generating cash flow. So that's good. Also, the markets have been rattled a lot when Trump said, whatever it takes. When he was laying out his vision for the thing, he said, quote, wars can be fought forever and very successfully. So, he shocked the market. That's why you've seen this really top-heavy, up and down turbulence. And a lot of that is inverse to the oil price. Oil spiked to $80 a barrel. Strait of Hormuz is closed. No more shipping. All of a sudden, the market's down 1,200 points. Later on, Trump comes out and says, we, the United States, will ensure the shipping companies, number one. Number two, we will escort you with Navy vessels. So all of a sudden, oil comes back down and the market goes back up. There's a lot of nervousness going on here. And of course, the war, look, at the end of the day, markets drop 5 to 15% once or twice every year anyway. So this is a really good time for the market to drop 5 to 10%. And I always view that as taking the head off the beer, getting some of the froth out of it, keeping it disciplined. The market needs to earn that narrative and those valuations. Look, I'm not a politician. God knows I'm not in that business. That's a tough enough business. But militarily, the best prediction is Iran is basically defanged as a state power and is very much does have fangs as an asymmetric terrorist organization, basically. And they will cause trouble. You will see explosions. Some of them will be surprising. You might see some explosions in Europe. You might see some explosions in shipping. This could widen up. These people have been preparing for this. We will see more shocks. The key thing is not to get rattled. If you look at the history of markets going back all the way to the 1900s, basically, this would be considered a blip as it looks now. As it looks today, March 5th, Thursday, as it looks today, these things can age really badly if you don't really put that in context. As it looks today, this is a blip in the historical context for the United States. And without nuclear weapons, Iran basically the equivalent of throwing rocks at us. And it's a hard thing to say because real people die. This is warfare. Warfare is young boys on the battlefield screaming for their mothers, and terrorism is young boys, girls, and kids in a city screaming for their parents. So we know this is a bloody business, and I'm not trying to minimize that at all. And I try to remember that. A friend of mine said to me, "You're talking about warfare here." And I replied, "I'm sorry." I replied to her, "I'm sorry." Sometimes I think of this intellectually like a historian, not as a human being. So forgive me if I've ever done that. But the point that I'm trying to make is here, I can see the market going down 5 to 15%. But, Iran, it'll shock us. There'll be a few more shocking surprises. It'll blow up this, it'll destroy that, blah, 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 blah. But the key is to remember, pull the camera back. Don't day trade the news. Don't day trade the panic. Keep a longer, more historical perspective. In the history of the United States, this will be big, but not for the reasons you think. I'll describe the reasons it'll be big in my video for you tomorrow. Have a good day. I'll see you tomorrow.